Hi guys, Ron here. A couple of days ago I got an interesting request and generally a very good topic to talk about in terms of training. So a couple of weeks ago I released my video about how I raise my FTP, and the first and most important aspect that I think in training is consistency, because no matter how hard or how long you train or how effectively you do it, if you don't do it regularly, it's just not going to be very helpful. So the first and most important thing, of course, as with anything, is willpower. But there are things you can take care of that will make it much easier to put in those hours and training rides day in and day out. So one of the most important things is just generally keep your bikes in good working order. So that means cleaned, the drivetrain lubricated, the bearings okay, no plays, no squeaky parts, the bolts tighten up, the tires in good condition, and yeah, that's the first step. The second step, I would think, of course, no matter how well maintained your bike is, some technical mishaps can still happen. So the second part, or my suggestion, would be setting up some spares. And you don't really need anything too expensive, just some regular stuff I'm going to show you in a minute. Yeah, in order to keep your bike on the road, what you're definitely going to need is a set of spare tires, spare in tubes of course, or if you're running tubeless, then some sealant and tubeless valves, maybe valve extenders, then some chains in order to, well, in case they wear out, so you can change them quickly and keep you on the road. Maybe some inner and outer cables if your bike still uses them, tubes, I already mentioned that, some bar tape, and yeah, I think that's pretty much it, the most important bits covered. Also some, well, degreaser and washing products, greases, etc., all the basic stuff, basically just to keep your bike going. Then secondly, when we talk about weather conditions, I'm lucky enough to live in an area where it's usually quite warm and sunny from April to late October, so that enables me to ride a lot outdoors. But some of you from colder climates might have a problem with that. And not just colder, but generally wet or temperate climates. It's well, it can be mentally challenging to go out in these bad conditions. So one thing you can do against that, the first thing I've done, is to have a good supply of high quality cycling equipment and clothes. So again, I'm going to show you some examples, but my general rule of thumb is I have 3 sets of winter kit, 3 sets of sort of in-between kit, so between, I would say, 7 and 12 degrees, and then some summer kit and accessories. And this enables you to keep riding day after day, and also reduces the load. If you have 3 sets, reduces the energy load, because you can just pile them up and wash them all at once in a nice cycle. They will last longer. Also, I would advise you to buy the highest quality cycling equipment you can afford. It's much more important than the bike itself, because well, you're wearing it, and a lot in terms of comfort, aerodynamics, and generally performance relies on that. So it's a good idea to keep a good cycling wardrobe in general. It might be a big investment. For example, my kit stretches well over 3,000 euros, but you have to keep in mind that you're not buying these for 1 year unless your weight changes dramatically, which admittedly can happen in cycling, but after a couple of years it will just level out anyway. So yeah, the second one, clothing, and what I've just done this year, and I think it has given me a real edge in these spring events, is indoor training. Now, I used to hate indoor training because it was frustrating and mentally challenging, but just this winter I got on Zwift and built up a pretty decent paint cave with a smart trainer, fans and a computer to run Zwift from in high definition, and that has basically transformed the way I train during the winter months and during the days with worse weather conditions. And even, if you have a turbo training setup at ready any time, then you don't really have to worry about completing your training in case the weather goes in the way or some life commitments come into the way, because in the evening you can still hop on a turbo trainer and do a quick effective interval session. So yeah, that really makes a big difference. Okay, so I think these are the main points that help me achieve my, I don't want to be smug here, but I think my consistency is pretty good in terms of training. So to summarize, the bike in good working order, building up a decent set of spares, that's the first one. Then building up a decent cycling wardrobe for all kinds of conditions. And thirdly, building up a nice indoor training setup that you can actually rely on and that you can do, relatively enjoying it. So yeah, these things helped transform my cycling and my performance from really quite low to pretty decent that I am nowadays. Okay, if you want to see more about my indoor training setup or my bike setups themselves, then don't forget to tune into the channel and subscribe. It's all for today. Thanks for watching and see you next time.